am back again with the next episode of the Lapland Lowdown. I think I should have chosen a name that wasn't such a tongue twister. Anyway, we are back, and today I am going to be talking about, sorry, I'm closing extra tabs, when the best time is to visit Lapland, because that is a question that I actually get asked quite a lot. And my answer is simple, but probably a little bit unhelpful. And that is that the best time to go is very much dependent on what it is that you're going there for. So what are your reasons as to going? In my experience, and certainly the feedback that I get inside this group, is that people want to go to Lapland to experience the winter, and they want the Christmas festivities and that sort of thing. So they're the two main reasons that I hear of people wanting to go. Obviously, peak season is around Christmas because people want to have that white Christmas experience and want to meet Santa, and all the fun and the festivities around in Europe, I think, is a big pull before Christmas. And then, people want to be in Santa's home for Christmas. So whether that is actually with Santa on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, they still want to be in and around Santa. All things Christmas, which, as you would know, that being the hometown of Santa himself, what better place could you be for Christmas if that's what you're after? But as you can also imagine and appreciate and probably know through your research, Christmas does tend to be the most expensive time to be there. So that becomes a big factor. The other factors are also things like snow, so whether you want a guarantee of snow, whether you are looking for the best northern lights, whether you want to ski, which also probably impacts where you decide to go, whether you want the water activities or the autumn colours, or whether you want to experience the midnight sun. There's so many different things. So I'm going to just try and run through in this video the different options, and hopefully that'll give you a bit of an insight into what you might get at different times of the year. So we'll start with summer. It's obviously the end of the summer season, or nearing the end of the summer season in Lapland at the moment, and I think the main draw card for people visiting Lapland in summer is because of the midnight sun. That's something that we obviously can't experience here in Australia, and many countries around the world don't get to experience that. So that is something really unique that draws people to the area. There are other places that people go to experience the midnight sun, and that's where I think it depends on, like, the location that you would go to for the midnight sun experience would be determined by whether you also want the Christmas experience as well, where you would go to Santa Claus's village, or that sort of thing, where you can only get that in Finnish Lapland. So in summer, people are doing mountain biking, trail running, hiking. They have toboggan slides, like often at the ski runs they have like a toboggan sort of thing that you can jump on board. Did I say mountain biking? I think I did. Anything water-based, because obviously there's a gazillion lakes in Lapland. So kayaking, whitewater rafting, canoeing, camping. They've got beautiful walking trails and beautiful forest to walk through, which is, I can't wait to go and do that at some stage during the summer months. Swimming, they still do their sauna, obviously, because that's all year round. So lots of outdoor activities and lots of water-based and foot-based activities where people can just get out and be in nature. And I think that is probably the biggest draw card, I would say, year round for Lapland, is you've got to love nature, because Lapland is all about nature. So yeah, that's probably summer. In autumn, I think, and I was there in autumn last year, they have a period of time called Ruska, and that's when the colours are in the leaves are at their most vibrant. So that is definitely an appealing part of Lapland for people travelling in autumn. The colours are sensational. Like, I haven't been to Canada or anywhere else that might be known for those sort of colours, but yeah, I was just blown away. It was absolutely stunning. Driving through the countryside was, yeah, absolutely beautiful. So I would definitely, if you're a photographer or if you love being in the outdoors, it's a beautiful time to go. You can see the brown bears in the wild, which is pretty cool. Managed to do that last year, which was an amazing experience. It was, yeah, something that I'd been wanting to do for a long time. Berry picking, that's very popular, and lots of fun. Again, being out in nature, being like hiking, walking, the mountain biking, all of that sort of stuff, because the weather is still good. It rained a fair bit when I was there, but we also had some absolutely stunning days and blue skies and perfect conditions to be out, being active in the forest. Obviously still all the water-based activities, but the water does start to get a bit cooler. The sauna experience that I had when I was there in autumn last year was freezing, but not freezing. They actually said to me that the water doesn't really get any colder than what it was. So the, sauna and dip into the water thing was, yeah, it took my breath away. It was freezing, but it was an amazing experience. So that's certainly something that you can do. And the other thing that is a big draw card for autumn is the Northern Lights. So it's probably between August and September, or end of August, September, early October, is said to be one of the better times of the year to see the Northern Lights. It's sort of the start of the season, obviously, when the nighttime is dark as opposed to light. But the weather is still good, so the nights are clear, and obviously that means you can see the sky. Not to say that you can't see it later in the year and through the winter season, because you absolutely do, but you've got a higher chance of it being cloudy, and makes it more difficult to see, but certainly not impossible to see. So we saw them a couple of times with clear skies in winter, and we also saw it a couple of times through the clouds. So you can see it, it's just not, you don't get those vibrant swirls that in your photos that you do get otherwise. That said, when I was there in autumn, it was amazing, and I saw it more often, and I probably was staying in places that were a little bit, made it easier to just walk out the door and see, with less light pollution. But I did see, literally watched the Northern Lights dance through the sky, which was, you kind of, I don't know, you sort of, you hear of that happening, but does it actually really happen? Is it real? Well, yes, it is. It's very cool. And I was able to get some great photos, which was pretty great, and also some video footage. So in terms of, if that's your main reason to go, then I would be thinking that you want to go sort of September for Northern Lights, Ruska, beautiful time of year. Roads are really easy to drive around, there's no snow. You can still visit Santa Claus's village if you want that Christmas experience. And it's quiet, it's more affordable than what it will be as we move through the seasons. And it's a really lovely time of year to be there. And you can still, two other things actually. You can still do have a husky experience at that time of year. A lot of kennels are open for experiences where you can actually go out with the huskies, a team of huskies, but you'll be pulled on a cart. So you'll sit on a cart as opposed to a snow sled, which obviously makes sense because there's no snow. And the other thing is that was amazing, 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 and I was so excited about, and I had no idea that this was even going to be a thing, but there were reindeer just roaming wild, like just everywhere, and that was probably one of the most surprising and unexpected and exciting things. It's a bit like kangaroos here in Australia, that they can just, oh, I live in the country, so maybe not so much in the city, but you can see kangaroos kind of anywhere and everywhere. They just sort of jump out when they want to, and reindeer do the same. So I could be driving along the road, and next thing a reindeer would just be wandering along the side of the road, or a bunch of them would walk out in front of me, or a couple of times I was hiking on trails and reindeer just were there, which eating the berries and eating the grass, and that was amazing. That was so cool. Like, that was just yeah, like, you don't pay money for that. I didn't pay anything to see the reindeer in their own world, just doing their thing. So that was awesome. One morning when I woke up, when I was staying in Posio at Levo Arctic, I looked out my window, which is an igloo, so glass roof and glass at the top. So I got out of bed and I just looked out, and there were reindeer just wandering around, which that was like pinch me moments. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this? What am I doing? Where am I? I can't believe I'm doing this. This is amazing. So the reindeer, the Northern Lights, the weather, the hiking trails, as I've said already, all things nature, the brown bears, all of those things were amazing at that time of year, and I would highly, highly recommend it. If you're not so into the snow, and if you're not so into being freezing or the snow activities, but you want to see the Northern Lights and you want that natural nature experience, then I would highly recommend going in September for the beautiful colours and the Northern Lights. That was amazing. Okay, so next we're going to winter. Winter, as I said at the beginning, is the most popular time of year for people to go, particularly for Australians who don't get the snow like they do in Lapland. We just can't even imagine that level of snow. But it is absolutely real, and it is absolutely there, which is very cool. Usually, like the year we went, I think we arrived in Helsinki on December 12th in 2022, and we were knee deep in snow. There was so much snow there. They had just had they had a snowstorm while we were there, but they'd had a cold snap and there was tons of snow. I think the following year was quite similar, and then last year, 2024, December, they really didn't get a huge amount of snow. And that was in Helsinki, so you can imagine in Lapland. They didn't really get a huge amount of snow, and I know that was very disappointing for a lot of people who went for that white Christmas experience, who didn't really get the white Christmas experience that they were after. So that's, I guess the one thing to keep in mind when you're, I think that was quite rare, so I will just say that about that. But I think that's one thing that you just have to keep in mind, is that if you're looking for a white Christmas, you are not guaranteed it. You're never guaranteed it because it's weather, but you may want to contemplate just think very carefully about the location that you choose to stay for Christmas if you want a white Christmas. The further north you go, the more likely you are to get snow. So lots of people do go to Rovaniemi for multiple reasons, but it is actually quite low in terms of Finnish Lapland. So there are places further north that will give you you've got a better chance. I'm not going to say guarantee, you've got a better chance of getting snow. So that's definitely something to think about, but the where and location conversation will come another day, because there's obviously lots more on that. I think that if you're looking for that snow experience, you're definitely, like, I guess the most guaranteed snow period is going to be more January, February. And certainly if you are wanting snow at, lower in Lapland, the later you can leave it, the better, but obviously you don't get that Christmas buzz. I'm actually hosting one of my group trips in January, so it will be in Rovaniemi and visiting Santa Claus Village in January. So that will be really interesting to see it at that time of year, because I did visit in autumn last year and I still thought it was pretty cool. I know everybody has mixed feelings about that, but it's still a buzz. You've still got the Arctic Circle, and you still get to meet Santa and send postcards and all of that sort of fun stuff, and you're still at the home of Santa Claus. So I kind of think year round it's pretty amazing. And I think if you're travelling with kids, you can certainly tie a story in about, seeing Santa after Christmas, and I must be tired, and you can thank him for the presents and all of that sort of thing. So I think that after Christmas can still be pretty magical with all the snow as well. So yeah, interestingly, I haven't been to Lapland beyond January, but some locals that I've spoken to actually really rate March as one of the best times of year to visit or to be in Lapland. And I think one of their reasons for that, in all honesty, is because there's less tourists. But in terms of the prices, actually I should just backtrack a little bit. In my experience and research, the accommodation prices start to drop after sort of the 10th-ish of January. So if you can manage to go that week later, sort of after the New Year phase, and people have gone back to school and back to work and that sort of thing, haven't been able to have as much time off, then you might find the accommodation and activities a little bit cheaper. So it's not peak, it's probably still high season, but it's not actually their peak period. So it is a little bit cheaper then as well. But yes, the locals that I've spoken to have said their favourite time of year is March, and part of that is because the days start getting longer, so you've got obviously more daylight, the weather's starting to improve, so you've got some clear nights, you've got some northern lights, and you still have the snow. So they can still ski, they can still do all their snow activities, and so I think there's also great appeal to travelling to Lapland at that time of year, particularly given it's a more off-season. And if you are looking for, if you're not so fussed about the Christmas buzz, and you have flexibility with time off and that sort of thing, possibly look at the half-term break for European travellers, so like a half-term break for European schools, because that week will probably be quite busy in Lapland, because lots of people will go across from Europe for their 1 week half-term break, which obviously makes it busy. But if you can travel to Lapland outside or after that period, you might actually find that it's quite a good time to go. Weather's improving, you can still do all your activities, the winter season's still going, prices might be a little bit cheaper. And the later you go, like sort of later in March and April, you might actually find that the prices are even cheaper again. If you have the flexibility of being able to travel last minute, then it is and you're not fussed about the Christmas buzz, then I would definitely say keep an eye out on accommodation deals that are available for like March, April. Because there are tons that come out. Businesses are trying to fill their last weeks of their winter season accommodation that might not be full, and they often offer discounted prices for those periods of time. So it's more budget friendly, the weather's better, you still get the snow, you still get all that winter experience, but you're not necessarily getting the Christmas buzz. It's an interesting. It's interesting because there's so many different seasons and periods, and that is like that March, April is actually their springtime. So spring finishing their winter season, and yeah, then you head back into summer, obviously, where the days are longer and people are still outdoors. So I guess, yeah, one of the main attractions for going to Lapland is to be out in nature, because I think one of the things that Lapland really offers that is something that you don't get everywhere is just that real connection to nature. And I think that's why, I'm sure I've said this before, but that is one of the reasons that I've fallen in love with that region, is because it is all nature based. Like even the snow, even the, everything is about being outdoors and being active, and just connecting, that connection with nature. Like there was actually, it was kind of fairy tale like when I was walking through the forest, picking, like with reindeer walking around me, picking berries off the ground and eating them. It was like, oh my gosh, am I actually doing this? This is so beautiful. And one of the other great things about the trails is that they are so well set up for overnight campers and people going out for walks and having fires. Like they have firewood available at these beautiful picnic spots that you can just use the firewood and enjoy being outside. So they're really, I think, very well set up for catering for people to be outside and enjoy the outdoors. Don't pay for the firewood, it is just there and available. So you might just need to take your matches to make sure that you can light the fire. But the facilities are all there and the resources to be able to use them. In fact, when I was there, I was walking along parts of the Lunka National Park trail, and there were actually axes there as well with the wood. So, there was wood already cut, but there was also an axe there that you could cut more wood, which blew my mind because that's just not something that we would see here in Australia. Anyway, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into what each season looks like, and what you might be able to do at different times of the year. If you have any questions about that, please do let me know in the comments. I absolutely love doing these videos, and I wish that I'd actually started them earlier because it's such a great way to share information. I know I've got my newsletter, and if you're not already signed up to that, you might like to join that as well. There is a link on my website, but I'll pop it in the comments below. And I've actually got all of the previous newsletters linked in there as well, so you can flick back through those if you like. I send out a weekly email, but there is also nothing like actually being able to get on and tell you about these things. Sometimes it's hard to get that message, that enthusiasm or tone, as you know, in text. So yeah, I'm really enjoying bringing these. If you've got questions, I've actually got a list of questions people have reached out since the last episode I did. So please don't hesitate to pop questions in the comments. I'm loving doing this. At some stage it will move to a subscription-based platform, but for now I'm loving being able to help you and answer questions. So please do not hesitate in putting your questions in here. If you have, and they don't need to necessarily be related to this topic, they can be related to other questions as well that you might like me to get on here and talk about. So I hope you all have a great day, what is left of it, wherever you are in the world, and a wonderful weekend. Alrighty, chat to you again soon.